Early November 1998. Palmyra Prison, Valle del Cauca, Colombia. The afternoon sun's hanging low over a dust-covered yard. A group of inmates are playing soccer. One of them is Pacho Herrera. He's 47 years old. He's been inside for just over 2 years. To the prison guards, he's inmate number 4821. To the DEA, he's something else entirely. The last of the Cali cartel's ruling kings, the primary cocaine supplier to New York City for over a decade. A man the DEA described as one of the most influential and violent figures in the entire history of the drug trade. A stranger appears at the edge of the soccer field. He looks familiar enough that nobody stops him. He walks directly toward Herrera. Then he pulls out a gun. Pacho Herrera is shot dead in a prison yard, mid-game, in the city where he was born. No last stand, no dramatic escape attempt, just dust, a gunshot, and a body on the ground. But here's what that image doesn't tell you. While the entire world was watching Pablo Escobar, the bombs, the murders, the manhunts, Pacho Herrera was quietly doing something far more consequential. He was building a cocaine distribution system so disciplined, so compartmentalized, so structurally sound, that the DEA needed 100 simultaneous wiretaps just to map its edges. And even then, they couldn't touch him. This is the story of the cartel boss most people have never heard of, and why that anonymity was always the point. Pacho Herrera didn't start at the top. He started in New York, mid-1970s, moving cocaine at street level. Born in Palmyra, Valle del Cauca, 1951. Arrested in New York in 75. Arrested again in 79. Small charges, small fish. Nobody was writing his name down as a future kingpin. But back in Colombia, something was being built. In Cali, 4 men were constructing a criminal organization that looked almost nothing like what the world associated with Colombian drug trafficking. Gilberto Rodríguez Orejuela, Miguel Rodríguez Orejuela, José Santa Cruz Londoño, and eventually, Pacho Herrera. The DEA later described the Cali cartel as operating behind a pretense of legitimacy. Where Medellin ran on fear, public murders, bombed aircraft, assassinated presidential candidates, Cali ran on structure. Lawyers, bankers, transport specialists, wholesalers, retailers. Each layer of the operation separated from the others by design. One cell didn't know what the next cell was doing. If one part got arrested, the rest kept moving. And here's the detail that still feels almost impossible. By the early 1990s, the Cali cartel was maintaining computerized records of its operations. Client lists, transaction logs, distribution schedules. Organized crime running a database before most legitimate Colombian businesses had one. The DEA, trained to fight Escobar's style of warfare, was looking at something it had genuinely never encountered before. And the man they needed most to understand it was the one controlling New York. By the early 1980s, Pacho Herrera wasn't a street dealer anymore. He was the Cali cartel's primary architect of cocaine distribution in New York City. The DEA confirmed it directly. Herrera became the primary supplier of cocaine to the New York market. Think about what that sentence means. New York City, 8 million people, the most lucrative drug market on earth. Pacho Herrera controlled its cocaine supply. The way he did it followed Cali's core principle: separation. His New York operation wasn't one organization. It was a series of independent cells. Each cell handled one function: transport, storage, distribution, or cash collection. No cell had full visibility of the others. A distributor didn't know who the transporter was. A transporter didn't know where the money went. If the DEA flipped one member, they got one piece. The machine kept running. In 1988, Colombian authorities tied Herrera to a single shipment seized in Tarpon Springs, Florida. 3,500 kilograms of cocaine. One load, one bust. The operation didn't stop. By 1991, the DEA had built its biggest case yet against Herrera's network. They ran as many as 100 simultaneous court-authorized wiretaps across his New York cells. The resulting operation produced nearly 100 arrests, 2.7 tons of cocaine seized, more than $20 million in cash and assets taken. One of the largest single takedowns of a cocaine distribution network in DEA history. Pacho Herrera was not among those arrested. He'd already rebuilt his operation by the time the handcuffs went on. The DEA had spent years mapping his network, dismantled it piece by piece, and the man at the center walked away clean, which raised a question the DEA couldn't easily answer. How do you catch someone who's made himself structurally invisible? The DEA's frustration with Pacho Herrera wasn't just about his network. It was about the gap between what they knew and what they could prove. They knew he was the primary New York supplier. They knew his cells moved hundreds of tons of cocaine annually across U.S. borders. They knew the Cali cartel laundered billions through property, shell companies, trusts, and frontmen. But Pacho Herrera didn't look like a drug lord. And that was Cali's single greatest weapon. The DEA noted it in 1998 congressional testimony. Cali leaders posed as legitimate businessmen, not as a side cover, as a primary identity. The money that came out of New York moved through a specific chain. Bulk cash collected by street-level cells, consolidated and transported by couriers, deposited into legitimate-looking business accounts, converted into property, pushed through trusts and front companies until its origin was untraceable. Herrera's share went into real estate and land holdings across Colombia. And we know this not from 1990s intelligence reports, but because Colombian prosecutors were still chasing it in 2025. A Fiscalia operation uncovered 137 land plots connected to Herrera, roughly 1 million square meters of property, valued at 90 billion Colombian pesos. The man died in 1998. His hidden assets were still surfacing 27 years later. The DEA understood this by the mid-90s. Cali wasn't just a drug cartel. It was a corporate structure that happened to traffic cocaine. By 1995, with Escobar dead and Medellin dismantled, that structure supplied the majority of cocaine consumed across the United States and Europe. Pacho Herrera ran the distribution end of that supply, from Colombia, quietly, without a single headline. But the structure only holds as long as the people inside it stay loyal, and by 1995, loyalty inside the Cali cartel was running out. By mid-1995, Cali's leadership was collapsing fast. Chepe Santa Cruz Londoño was dead. Gilberto Rodriguez Orejuela, arrested in June 1995. Miguel Rodriguez Orejuela followed in August. The Colombian government, under pressure from Washington, was dismantling Cali's top tier one arrest at a time. Pacho Herrera watched all of it. On September 1st, 1996, he walked into a Colombian National Police station and surrendered. No shootout, no extradition battle, no dramatic final scene. The DEA press release that day called him the last remaining Cali kingpin being actively sought. Most people read that as defeat. It wasn't. Herrera had seen what happened when cartel bosses fought the Colombian state head-on. Escobar fought and died bleeding on a rooftop at 44. Herrera negotiated from a position of information. He knew where assets were buried. He knew how the network was structured. That knowledge was his insurance policy. Colombian prosecutors initially reported a sentence of 6 years and 8 months. Later proceedings pushed toward 14 years on drug smuggling and laundering charges. Even at 14 years, Herrera had calculated that a negotiated sentence beat a lifetime of running. He was 45 years old. He had money hidden across Colombia that prosecutors wouldn't find for 3 decades. Inside Palmyra prison, Colombian authorities believed he continued to operate, still controlling business from his cell. Which means someone, somewhere, had a very specific reason to make sure Pacho Herrera never walked out. Rafael Angel Uribe Serna got into Palmyra prison by posing as a lawyer. That detail alone tells you the level of planning involved. Prison security in Colombia in 1998 was porous enough that a hired gunman could walk in under a false identity, locate a cartel kingpin in the yard, and shoot him dead in front of witnesses. Colombian investigators identified Uribe Serna as the shooter. The question of who sent him has never been definitively answered. Semana magazine reported that investigators expected multiple competing theories at the time. The Norte del Valle cartel, filling the power vacuum left by Cali's collapse, had motive. Old internal rivalries had motive. Anyone who feared what Herrera might say in future plea negotiations had motive. A man who controlled New York's cocaine supply for over a decade, he accumulates enemies at every level. The DEA never closed the case with a clean answer. Colombian prosecutors never charged a confirmed mastermind. What remains is the shape of it. A man who survived 2 DEA takedowns, outlasted Pablo Escobar, negotiated his own surrender, and was still considered dangerous enough behind bars that someone paid to have him killed. The 2025 Fiscalia seizure adds one final layer to all of this. 27 years after his death, the machine he built was still producing assets worth billions of pesos. Pacho Herrera never got a Netflix series. He never became a household name. He was, in the end, exactly what he always intended to be. Escobar wanted the world to know his name. Pacho Herrera understood that the most powerful position in any criminal network is the one nobody's looking at. He built an empire in the blind spot. And even in death, parts of it are still being found. If you want to see the next shadow organization we're exposing, click the video on the screen right now.